Yeah, within 5 seconds, I'd put it at green era REM. This
Okay, good. I was like, can I maybe hold my breath until he mentions RAM and still be okay? And yeah, I probably could have there.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles, you bastard. My name's John. His name is Andy. I've been walking these streets so long, singing the same old song. I know every crack in these dirty sidewalks of Broadway. More on that later. But first, we have a song to listen to. Andy, what have you got for us?
I have a track that is called The Dream, and it is by, that's right, and it is by a collective called James Bontempo and Truth Tables.
Are you just actively looking for the worst named bands possible?
Yeah, that's all that really matters. Music be damned. I'm just going for the best pop I can get out of you based off the name of the band. No, that is not my method for choosing these songs, believe it or not, I swear. It's an interesting song, at least from my perspective, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay, okay.
This life is only the dream.
Okay, nice start. I have to say, within a few seconds, I was thinking, yeah, this kind of sounds like REM. Um, Definitely, kind of, not 100%, but that sort of open air sort of twang to it. It's kind of like Green era REM before Peter Buck got obsessed with the mandolin. Yeah, it doesn't quite have that. I think it's missing the sort of Mike Mills bass. But it sounds really nice. I was sort of half expecting the sort of the Stipe voice to enter. We got something else, obviously. I don't know if that is Mr. James Bontempo himself. You think he should be playing an organ with a name like that. But he sounds, totally appropriate and decent enough. Let's go back to that beginning. Enjoy that again.
This life is only the dream. Flashes of light on a screen. The sweep of a line, counting up time. This life, this life is only the dream. Sand
the first one go, but I couldn't go. That's again. That's where Mike Mills has been hiding. That is really REM as well. Yeah, it's really nice. Nice. This sort of pattern emerges. He says, "This life is only the dream," and then there's another line, and then it kind of goes up a notch, just half a notch. Oh, that we were. I couldn't really get all the words there, but it just sounded much nicer. And then back down. This life is only the dream. Blah blah blah, and then back into it again, and then it goes up again. I did write that bit down. All that we see, even the air that we breathe, and that's where you've got these little vocal um, sort of dashes of vocal sort of background, sort of floating across the top, as it were, skimming the song. It's really nice. Sounds when it goes up slightly. I mean, he's putting just an extra 1 or 2% on his vocal delivery there as well. And it's kind of funny because you're getting these contradictions in the sound, the lyrics, and what I'm experiencing. So he's putting forward the life in front of you is only the dream, and our senses are betraying us. Very Matrix. And yet at the same time as he's saying that, the song itself is forming and becoming more solid, beefing up. And while it's doing that, it also becomes slightly more, the guitars become a bit more, for want of a better word, dreamy to me. And it becomes that bit where you could easily just float off, watching the dust in the sunlight or something, to this sort of thoughtful music. Really nice, really nice. Nothing groundbreaking or fantastic, but it's just really nice to listen to. Very pleasant. Let's see how it goes.
All that we know and believe is only a song of the dream.
Nice drums. Spoiler. I really enjoyed that. Just to say, there's all lots of lovely, pleasing bits in that. The sort of rhythmic strumming that's really catchy and gets to you, doesn't it? There were bits in there where the drummer was really doing some lovely splashy stuff and a few sort of different fills as well, not the same old stuff. That was really pleasing. And we just got some of those little tiny ethereal sort of vocals coming in. But the thing I liked about it the most, as I looked, that's in a 5 minute song, it's well over a minute's worth. They just have it. It's not a guitar solo, it's a instrumental break. But it felt more like there was something they thought about and it was a detour proper rather than just a scheduled stop where, okay, this is the bit in the song where we have the bridge, or this is the song where the lead guitarist shows off that he can, do his stuff. Um, and there's a bit more time to this, which I really like about instrumental breaks, because then it gives you time to sort of form your thoughts as you're listening to it, and you're not distracted by the words. And what you really start to feel forms to this song as well. So yeah, really, really nice. And obviously we've broken right down to drum and tippy tappy, and I guess it'll be hushed tones, and then it'll all come back in again, and I'll thoroughly enjoy it when it does.
This life is only the dream, caught in a loop of routine. To wake is to die, so why would we try? This life is only the dream. All that we see, even the air that we breathe, is not what it seems. All that we are and could be is only a sum of the dreams. This life is only the dream. This life is only the
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. I think this is one of those songs which I think repeated listening, it gets it hooks into you. It's very sort of Matrix, in terms of the lyrics, but while it's saying all that, I just caught another line. To wake is to die, so why would we try? Yeah. But that aside, yeah, it's just really well put together. It had a lovely sound to it, a tone to it. It was some REM adjacent kind of stuff, but that's I'm a sucker for that anyway. So perhaps I'm seeing REM where there isn't any, a bit like I do whenever I see Pixies stuff that isn't there, or hear Pixies stuff that isn't there. Fair enough. I'll leave it to that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's interesting. Never heard of James or Bontempo. Truth Tables. It's not the catchiest of name, guys, but fair enough. But we must find out more about this lovely sounding band. So let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, you are back and you are lucid. What did you think of the dream?
Yeah, old James Bontempo organ. So song begins with this forthright beat from the drums and this guitar sound that is at once familiar and welcoming. Yeah, within 5 seconds, I'd put it at green era REM.
Okay, good. I was like, can I maybe hold my breath until he mentions REM and still be okay? And yeah, I probably could have there.
So yeah, that sort of breezy open air twang. It feels like Peter Buck before his mandolin obsession and the terrible overproduction of Out of Time. So yeah, green era. Probably even like the guitars on. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, green, I'd say. And I think the difference. So I rewound it and listened to it again, and it isn't REM, but it just reminds you of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference is really interesting because it's something you only notice when it isn't there, and that's Mike Mills' bass. It often propels the track and has this extra melody and stuff like that, and it's not the case here. It's just straightforward, and you kind of notice the absence compared to REM sound. Anyway,
Yeah.
So yeah, for the first 15 seconds or so, I was half expecting Stipe's sudden chirruping to enter stage left, slightly strangulated yet nasally at the same time. But no, we get treated to a different kind of voice, which is still apropos and harmonious with the tone of the song. This, kind of collegey indie rock with just a tinge of like almost country-ish southern
Yeah.
Mr. White linen suit type tone. So the the singer's opening gambit is this life is only the dream, fractures of light and a scream. And then the music, so he sings those couplets, and the music just ever so slightly shifts, like from one leg to another for the next couple of lines, just slightly expanding, tiptoes perhaps. And the singer just gives us small dollop more oomph to his delivery as well. Um, and I really liked it. And then I believe it's repeated again. So it does another two lines, of which I think the first one is again this life is only the dream and something else. And then it goes up for the next couple again. I have to say, when we get to that subtle shift, after when it's circled round, you start to get this really sort of almost dreamy quality from the guitar at that point. It's really nice. And then it carries on. And he says something about all that we see, even the air that we breathe. So he's going full sort of Matrix conspiracy here at this point. But what we also get him is these like backing vocalizing, these sort of breathy notes coming through, that's like flying past us like a frisbee on a Sunday afternoon. And that's where Mike Mills has been hiding. So there you go. We got that touch as well. So we're getting a little bit more sort of metal work from the drummer. Some splashes abound. And then we have these backing vocals, as I say. They add some to the bolster some of the lines, but also these lovely floating sort of vocalizations that are really pleasant. And I get this weird feeling that the song is sort of proffering the notion that our senses are betraying the true aspects of reality, while at the same time, the song itself is actually forming and growing into something more solid, while he's asserting this contra notion to reality. While at the same time, as you listen to it, you're more and more inclined to drift off into your own reality. So you got these three different tugs in different directions going at the same time. As a listener, that's very interesting. Then around about the 2 minute mark, we just go into this almost lazy guitar break, which I really enjoyed. And it just kind of shuffles along a bit. And then it has this lovely sort of rhythmic strumming, this very, very catchy kind of toe tappy riff, which comes and goes. And there's some ancillary spectral voices again, which add a bit of ethereal quote into the song. And it comes and goes and comes and goes. And this goes on for well over a minute, which is rather pleasing, I think, because it starts to feel more like a proper detour rather than a scheduled stop. Like some songs, right? Here's the bridge, here's the guitar solo, so the guitarist can show you that he's competent and wiggle his fingers. And this actually was like, well, we're just going to go down here for a bit.
Yeah.
And what it also does is it expands out the sort of breadth of the song and gives you pause in between lyrics to make your own mind up about what you're thinking or feeling. So you either get clarity of thought or you drift off even more within it. So either way, it's great. So yeah, and like this, and also during this, the drummer does a really good job. He does some really interesting fills, and they're different each time as well. It's not the same thing as circling back to, and loads more splashy work as well. Of course, at this point, it breaks down to that sort of just a pulsating beat and a bit of tippy tappy on the cymbal and the hushed tones of the singer, repeating his belief about the true nature of the Matrix. I caught something about this life is only a dream, obviously. He said about caught in the loop of routine. And then a bit further on, it says something about to wake is to die. I didn't type this bit up. So why would we even try or something like that? So again, very Matrix. Anyway, back comes the jangly guitar, drum fill or two. It all builds rhythmic strum. The rhythmic sort of strumming riff comes in as well from the break. Floaty background vocals. You even get a bit where it's starting to almost overlap the vocals, but just they're not quite. They're just crashing into each other a little bit, like dodgem cars. So the song, goes full formed, as it were, and then it just finishes with that final sort of chord echoing on briefly. So yeah, I think this is a really pleasant listen. I had that touch of familiarity from The Gentleman from Athens, Georgia.
Mhm.
But that aside, I think this is a really nice song as well, which I really suspect would work its magic on you with repeated listens or get your hooks into you. So yeah, this is a good one.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it, and I agree with much of what you said, pretty much all of what you said. And yeah, first time I heard this, I was like, "Fuck, man, this sounds a lot like REM." And then I was like, John loves REM. All right, I'm gonna have to bring this to the channel because I've only known about this track for maybe 4 or 5 months. But yeah, it definitely added it to the list to sneak in here for one of these episodes. Um, and I also wanted to sneak them on the episode because they are an American collective from my beautiful backyard of Baltimore, Maryland. And they showcase a blend of indie rock convictions with a hint of twang, as you sort of alluded to with the country music, and a cathartic rises and falls that they strategically use throughout their songwriting as well. That, as you put it, the more you listen to it, the more you could see yourself kind of like falling into or it growing on you. Which is definitely the case. The band describes themselves as if Yo La Tango were a little bit country, with nods to slacker rock, shoegaze, and alternative folk. Their influences for this new project include some of the greats in the American experiment of slacker country rock, like Pavement and Wilco. These are all bands that we have either
Yeah, I was
featured.
thinking of Wilco as you were talking.
Yeah. These are all bands that we've talked about at length or even featured on the channel. And perhaps if we haven't, it's because there's so much overlap in what we already know from
Yeah.
those artists. So, but yeah, since its inception back in 2016, Truth Tables has been more of a loose experiment than a fixed band, with James playing alongside a revolving door of collaborators. But in early 2023, something changed. Joined by Steve Johnson on bass and guitar, and Randy Cochran on drums, percussions, and vocals, Bontempo provides vocals, guitar, and electric piano. The group's latest lineup, this sort of trinity, it came together for what was supposed to be a one-off opening slot for the Nashville folk outfit Top House. And what started as an impromptu single February show quickly gained momentum, turning into 10 gigs by the end of the year and setting the stage for the trio to head into the studio to capture the energy of their newly created material. Their first EP as this iteration of the group is titled The Glow, and it was recorded at Minor Street Studios in Philadelphia with producer Brian McTeer and engineer Amy Morrissey. And it documents the group's evolving sound. I should say McTeer and Morrissey are known for their work with the war on drugs, and they bring a polished edge to this recording. The EP was released on February of 2024, about 1 year after their fateful performance with Top House. Adding to the EP's rich texture is Robbie Bennett of The War on Drugs, whose contributions on organ and piano lend a haunting melodic depth to the tracks. According to Adam Morgan of Surviving the Golden Age, you can hear elements of Heartland and slacker rock in the warbly, disenchanted vocals and mid-tempo guitar rock featured on The Glow. And over at Last FM, they write of the band, they are a study in contrast at the intersection of sonic beauty and lyrical introspection. The music invites you into their world, where each song is a chapter in a story of resilience and redemption, each note a testament to the power of art to transform and heal. Mike Mineo of Obscure Sound reviewed the EP, and he wrote, a captivating rock sound stirs within tracks that often swell from jangly introspection into anthemic hookiness. The band has a knack for beautifully climactic structures, and he would add, the Glow finishes very strong in Incandescent City and The Dream. The former is a psych-friendly epic that sprawls over 11 minutes, firmly showcasing the band's knack for beautifully climactic structures. Twangy guitars and solemn organs lead a subdued first half then escalating steadily into whirring doses of distortion and brisk percussion. It's a thorough standout on the EP, full of them. The Dream is a fully memorable finale amongst the EP's most ardent efforts, especially in the All That We See vocal outpouring. The Glow is a riveting success of an EP from James Bontempo and Truth Tables. It's a really surprises me, and I mean, granted, they've only been around for like a couple of years, and this EP is only just over a year old. But it really surprises me that in the few but thorough reviews of the EP that I found when scouring the internet, not one of them made reference to how much they sound like REM. I mean, there are these other bands that are alluded to, right? But the one that
Yeah,
smacks you right in the face, I mean, particularly on this track when that jangly guitar kicks in, you
yeah.
can't help but think of fucking REM. But yes, let's get into these
Perhaps
lyrics.
it's just us two,
Yeah,
and
what
everybody
if?
else is
That is so
right.
weird. We're the only ones that hear it. I mean, that's the impetus for me giving you the song on top of it just being great is like, oh, I bet you John's gonna catch this, and like clockwork, you did. Um, the lyrics. This life is only the dream, flashes of light on a screen. The sweep of a line counting up time, this life is only the dream. Sand in the steel we can't see, thoughts in a mind that won't be described. This life is only the dream. All that we see, even the air that we breathe, is not what it seems. All that we know and believe is only a sum of the dream. This life is only the dream, caught in a loop of routine. To wake is to die, so why would we try? This life is only the dream. All that we see, even the air that we breathe, is not what it seems. All that we are and could be is only a sum of the dream, because this life is only the dream. This life is only the yeah, this I mean, as you pointed out, the song takes on this dreamy aspect about a third to a halfway through, and I think, given the title of the track, it's completely apropos and totally kind of fits this existential kind of theory of living in a simulation, or as you put it, the Matrix, which of course that's where your mind would go given the subject matter. But yeah, it is really interesting and thought provoking, and obviously a
Yeah,
topic that's been tread before.
it's also interesting that they say the dream rather than a dream. So
Yeah.
it's not, it was almost like this collective thing.
Yeah, like it's a simulation that we're part of, like this thing that's
Yeah, shared
pre
experience
yeah,
rather than each
predetermined.
person's dream.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
found this sorry, just a slight detour for a sec.
Of
But
course.
I remember going to this shitty kind of bricky brack kind of antique place with a friend. He wanted to get some stuff. It was years ago. And I found this old like picture. I think it was ink and watercolor on paper. And it was an old hippie thing. It was from the 60s, definitely. And it was done in sort of sections, almost like a storyboard or a cartoon
Hmm.
or graphic novel. I think
Yeah.
it was like 3 by 3, it might be 3 by 4, but it's basically the close up of this sort of blob within another blob. And he pulled out, and then you realize it was an eye, and then the eye became part of this person, and then this person came on this landscape, and then the landscape blurred,
Yeah.
and then the landscape became a blob, and the blob became an eye, and the eye became part of a fly, the fly sitting on the landscape, and it was like that. It was
Yeah,
real
yeah,
hippie
that's
sort of stuff. Right? We're all dreams of somebody else's dreams and all that.
yeah.
I really loved it. It was crap and crass, but I loved it.
No, no, I think that's very interesting. Even hearing you describe it makes me wish I could have seen it because yeah, it sounds really cool and just the kind of piece that would definitely get your mind going a bit. So yeah, and such that some subject matter like this does, right? You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
buy into it, but it's still like, what if? Wouldn't this be crazy?
engaging. Yeah,
Yeah, it is absolutely. So yeah, thanks so much for giving this a listen, John. I appreciate your take
I
and
enjoyed it.
yeah, that's great, man. Thanks so much. Guys out there in the listening audience, Please let us know what you thought of this track, The Dream by James Bontempo and Truth Tables. I'd love to hear what you guys picked up and heard, and if there were hints to this or you assume an inspiration by that, please feel free to drop it down in the comment field below. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about this. Also, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. We really do appreciate it. It's only takes a couple seconds of your time, but it goes a long way in helping us. So thank you so much. As I think, John, you and I are celebrating what was quietly our best month in subscribers since starting this, I think is what May was, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, all thanks to you guys out there. So we really, really do appreciate it. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.